All right, we're recording.
Well, it has been a wild week in sports. Last time we spoke, it was a couple weeks ago, and this was the crazy Seahawks and Cardinals game, which kind of changed the entire season for the Cardinals. Now 6-6. They play the Giants this Sunday. That game has a lot of playoff implications. I know we'll get to that in a second. But, of course, we have to talk about, to start off the show, MLB free agency is heating up. Talks about James McCann going to the Mets yesterday. It has now been shut down by the Mets owner, Steve Cohen. So hold your horses on that. But, of course, we got to start off with the topic and the talk of town, and that is the pitiful New York Jets. And, Justin, I'll let you go first on this. However, everybody wants to say that this game cost the Jets a win. No. This game just gave Jets Trevor Lawrence in the first overall pick. Because on Sunday, they were without Denzel Mims, and they were without Jamison Crowder. So they also have lost on Sunday. Justin, take it away.
All right. So I know as a Jets fan, I'm happy. As a Jets fan, Will, you're probably happy that we are one step away from getting Trevor Lawrence, definitely. But honestly, as a Jet fan, I'm not really proud. Because you're telling me that because this just shows the lack of skill that the Jets have presented here. I mean, you're telling me you run an 8-defender blitz when you know that Derek Carr is probably going to throw. You keep one safety in the back. I mean, it was just a terrible play call by the Jets. And yes, even though we will get Trevor Lawrence, I'm not happy about this loss, and I don't think any Jet fan should be.
I mean, listen, as a Jet fan, I love it. I love it. I want to go 0-16. Listen, the day that they lost, so the Saturday, I had to go get COVID tested. The Saturday before game day, I waited outside online for about 2.5 hours because I had to get COVID tested. I wore this hat proudly on the line on Saturday. And I had people come up to me, and they go, yeah, the Jets are 0-5, like what was at the time, 0-11? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm well aware, and that's why I'm wearing this hat. I have never been, and I'm not lying when I say this, I have never been more proud of a Jets team in my lifetime. Everything I've asked for them to do this year, they've done it. They've done it. In the past, I've said win, and they've lost. In the past, I said, don't trade this guy, and they did. This year, I said, trade Jamal Adams. Check. This year, I said, lose so they can fire Adam Gase. Half check mark. We're right there. I love it. I wear this Jets hat and my Jets sweatshirt proud every single day that they lose that game. And listen, off of Justin's take, is it embarrassing? Oh, absolutely. I am embarrassed to be a Jet fan, 100%. I hate walking around looking like this, but I love my team. I love Sam Darnold, but his time's got to go. His time's got to go. I even love Lamar Jackson, who was covering Henry Ruggs for even bigger of a reason now, because we're getting Trevor Lawrence. He has to declare first, but we ain't win another game. We are not winning another game. That was our shot. And if I'm the Raiders, I'm embarrassed because you almost lost to the worst team in football. So
the thing I was going to say about the Jets is, like, you guys watch these games. There's signs of life. Like, this team isn't, like, completely incompetent. Like, if you look at, like, the 0-16 Browns from a couple of years ago, I think that team was worse than the Jets. Like, there's a couple guys that are, like, not bad.
That's a low bar.
But yeah, exactly. There's a bar that's set, and it's very low. But the Jets are not bad, and they play with the Raiders. And I'm going to say this. It's the play call. They need to – I don't know why they haven't cleaned house yet. At this point, like I think everyone says it, they're keeping Gase there so he can go 0-16 because whatever he's doing is working for an 0-16 season. But I watched the Jets on Sunday, and they weren't they were not terrible. They're not as bad as – they shouldn't go 0-16, but they probably are.
Okay. I would like to send my gratitude and thanks to former Jets defensive coordinator Greg Williams. By the way, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knows the cover zero blitz. He's been around the league. My guess is that he was like, you know what? He probably can't stand Adam Gase. He probably thinks he's the stupidest human being on the planet, and he's not wrong. He's like, you know what? I'm going to 100% seal his fate. This is what I'm going to do. So they need a touchdown to win. I'm going to run a cover 0 blitz. By the way, the Jets didn't even run it right. You had Neville Hewitt got, knocked off his path, so now Carr was able to step up and throw. They didn't even run the play right. He knew that. He figured, all right, let's run a cover 0 blitz. One, it makes no sense in that situation. And two, the Jets don't know how to run it because I assume they don't run it in practice because they didn't think they were going to have to do it in a game. And also, they're all very inexperienced defense, so that's something you have to really practice a lot. I'm going to have they got Henry Ruggs, who's maybe the fastest wide receiver in the league. Let's put Lamar Jackson, our 5th string corner that is lucky to even be in the league. Just didn't have so many injuries at the position. He probably wouldn't be in the league. 1-on-1 with him with no safety help. And he'll get burned. And look what happened. It worked out perfectly. So Greg Williams, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Greg Williams knew exactly what he was doing. I mean, if the Jets are so worried about incompetent coaches that can't win games, why is Adam Gase still around? It doesn't add up. They fire Greg Williams because he cost them a game. Well, Adam Gase has cost them 11 others this whole season. They're firing Greg Williams, so it looks like they're not explicitly tanking. And they are. That is not a play. You can say Greg Williams is an aggressive play caller. You can say whatever you want about him and his history, but he is smart enough to know that you do not run a cover 0 in an obvious Hail Mary situation. You don't put a rookie, undrafted free agent cornerback on the fastest or one of the fastest wide receivers in the league with no safety help in single coverage when you're up 4 and you have 13 seconds to play the game. He's smart enough to know that. That was a sign to me of outright tanking. And it should be looked into by the NFL at the very least. I mean,
it's not the
I'm not saying
Yeah.
the first
Yeah, but
pick.
why would he tank when when he knew he wasn't gonna be back next year?
He's got management. He doesn't know he's not going to be back next year because
He's not coming back.
Because he hasn't been fired at this point.
Gone.
And I agree. It doesn't make much sense, but at the same time, that play call just doesn't make sense. And it makes too much sense that Trevor Lawrence is in their hands now because of that play call to say it has nothing to do with tanking. And maybe Greg Williams is just a complete idiot and the Jets saw that and fired him. But if that's the case, then Gase would be gone too. So it just doesn't sit right with me. Obviously, I'm mad about it because I don't want Trevor Lawrence going to the Jets, so that plays into it too. But I don't like. It's just something's going on.
Stefan, did you see that play?
Yeah.
For me, Will?
Stefan, did you see that
okay.
play with the Jets on
I gotta be honest. I stopped watching the Jets after they lost 8 games in a row.
Hey man,
Luckily I'm a Giants fan as well. I know it's weird. Why am I a Giant fan? Growing up, my 2 favorite colors were green and blue. So I thought, okay, let me root for the Jets and Giants. But right now, the Giants are picking up a lot more headway. Right now, they won 4 games in a row. First time since 2016 that they won 4 games in a row. The offense has stepped up. Jabril Peppers is leading the defensive in the back in the cornerback areas, and it looks like the Giants can squeeze in the wild card playoff position. And so my money is all on the Giants getting into the playoffs. The Jets, it'll be a miracle if they can win just 1 game this season.
And what makes it even worse is that the Jets general manager and ownership didn't even fire Greg Williams. It was Adam Gase. So this just tells you that the Jets ownership and the Jets management still think that Adam Gase's voice in the locker room and voice on the team is worth it. When I got to tell you something, like I said, I don't care who you are. If you go 0-16, you should not have a job. How Hugh Jackson didn't get fired after 0-16 is mind-boggling. And Greg Williams was a part of that team as well. The same 0-16 team. So Adam Gase, I think, is going to get fired, but why they let him make the decision now, for all we know, he could just be saying that, and Joe Douglas be saying, you know what, I got 4 more games of this, and then he's gone. And then he's gone. But it seems a little fishy to me.
Will,
And again, why would they tank? They know they're not going to be back next year.
Will, I told you from the minute the Jets fired Mike Maccagnan, chose Adam Gase over Mike Maccagnan, that he had the keys to the ship. He hired Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas is an Adam Gase guy. I don't think there's any way Joe Douglas keeps Adam Gase after this season, but there's always that thought in the back of my mind that Adam Gase brought Joe Douglas in. Maybe Joe Douglas, keeps him against all odds. I would, if I'm a Jets fan, I would take Mike Maccagnan and his questionable decisions and, being a terrible GM in general over, Adam Gase and possibly having Adam Gase for longer than you want, for longer than the 2 years that he's been here. But, it's a lose-lose situation. The best choice for the Jets to go, unfortunately, is lose to the Raiders, lose the rest of the season, get Trevor Lawrence, get Gase out of there, and hopefully rebuild from there.
Here's the
Before
thing.
we go on, I want to show something real quick. I want to share my screen, and if I can, I don't know if I can. I want to share my screen, and I don't know even if I can on my laptop. Wow. Oh, I can. Okay. I can share my screen. I'm going to show you guys a video of Joe Douglas's conversation with Jet fans. Remember, this is with Jet fans. He had a conversation with Jet fans, and they said, hey, Greg, or it was Greg Williams, what's your favorite play to run? And if I
saw that.
He literally says, cover 0 blitz. I'm going to try to find it, but continue. And when I find it, I'll let you guys know.
Here's the thing. I just want to say this about Greg Williams. Going back to Jake's take about, thanking Greg Williams. I was watching that game, and when I saw the lead, I'm like, the stars have aligned. It is time for the Jets to go 1-11. Let's go. And then I watched that final play, and I'm like, you cannot be this stupid.
Hey, I was the same way. It's finally the Jets are going to win and possibly lose out on Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, but then I think, but then I thought about it more, and I'm trying to add all the pieces together. So they want Trevor Lawrence. Corey, what you said about the management, with how, Greg Williams can possibly recover because of the management. I'm just making a hot take here. He knew what he was doing. He wanted to take one for the team, and therefore I'm saying that Greg Williams is the smartest player the Jets have ever had.
Well, listen, everybody wants to say Greg Williams was going to get – maybe he did it so he could save his reputation and not go 0-16 again. His reputation was ruined after Bounty Gate. I mean, regardless of what anybody says. I mean, to deliberately tell your – now, it's one thing to tell your players – go out there and be physical and be aggressive. It's another to physically tell them go out there and hurt the other team. So his reputation was ruined since Bounty Gate. So Williams, I think, is done. I don't think he gets another coordinator position, whether it's in college or the NFL. Nobody wants to touch that hot dumpster fire that's at MetLife Stadium. However, you move about 100 feet to the other locker room at MetLife, and there's some positive vibes going. You got the 5-7 New York Giants sitting in the first place right now in a tie with Washington, but they do have the tiebreaker. My Giant fans, I know you guys are interested, happy to talk about this, but you guys just beat probably a Super Bowl favorite in the Seattle Seahawks, where your defense shut down DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, and Chris Carson, and held them to 12 points. That should say a lot about the Giants.
Yeah, Will, going off that, the thing with Seattle, and like you said, they definitely are, an NFC favorite. But, I mean, I think we really kind of exposed a lot of their weaknesses. They have a historically terrible defense. That is the one thing that going into that game that we knew that was going to be, a game changer for us, especially when, we have an offense that has had issues. We don't have a wide receiver one. We have a guy like Wayne Gallman who still is trying to prove himself, and he absolutely did. I don't know how many yards he had, but he had a pretty good day. We finally got the run game going well, and you have to give all the credit to the defense. That's what has been winning games for us the last 4 games. Blake Martinez did come out; he was out in the tent, but hopefully he'll be back next week. And like you said, Bradbury held DK to nothing, basically. So that was really what won the game for us. And even looking this week, we have Arizona, a team that's lost 3 in a row, and like I said, the rest of the season it looks good. I think we Joe Judge has really turned this franchise around this season. There's a lot of positives that you can take from that. And listen, we could go 9-7, but at the end of the day, we could win the division with like 7 wins. That's what makes this just such an interesting season to see how it's going to play out. Because Washington has a very kind of similar schedule to us, but after beating the Steelers, we don't know what they're capable of now. So that's why it's going to be so competitive.
I agree with you, Robbie, on how the defense definitely carried us, and they have been this whole season. But I definitely think it's important to give credit to Colt McCoy and how he did his job for us on Sunday. With Jones being out, I know everyone was like scared, like, oh, we lost. Like, good thing that we had because Jones has been proving himself this season. But I also think it's really good that we had Colt McCoy. He has so much experience in the NFL. He may not have started as much as he could have, but I think he definitely did like his job, and it was good for us.
Yeah, I think I love the Giants defense. By the way, they may have a top team. That Giants defense is playing very well. They deserve a lot of credit. They played fantastic. I felt was their best game of the year. But Colt McCoy, I mean, this guy, first of all, he's not that good of a quarterback. I mean, he's never really been a full-time starter. In Cleveland, he may have been, but that's Cleveland, first of all. And then, of course, he had the concussion. And then he was with the Washington when they were still the Washington Redskins with Washington. Wasn't very good there. In fact, he had not only had not played in 2 or 3 years since he broke his leg. He's one of the poor quarterbacks that FedEx Field had engulfed. But he had not won a game in 6 years. He had not won a game since 2014, and he stepped in, on short notice with, a shaky offensive line, not the best weapons in the world. And it was a big game. It was, a 4-5 game, so, kind of on prime time. And a game that if the Giants didn't end up winning, they would have not been in first place entering the final of the season. And he didn't play that bad. I mean, he only threw the ball like 20 times, and he did have an interception. But because of one interception, he was accurate. He was accurate with the football. He threw a touchdown, and he got his first win in 6 years. So I think he deserves a lot of credit for stepping into a shaky situation and getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, going into the game like that, I mean, there's a pretty low bar for a guy like Colt McCoy. I mean, you really don't know what he's going to do. I mean, every time he stepped back in the pocket, I would not be confident in him throwing the deep ball. But really, what he did well was he converted, especially in the fourth quarter. He converted on 3rd down. That was a huge – I think it was like 2 minutes left. He converted. That's all he did. He did his job, which is all we really can ask from him when we're going to win games mostly on the defense, and we got to hope that the offense can just get a couple scores. I mean, we only had to score 17 points, and we held one of the best offenses in the league to 12 points. So that when you have that kind of defensive first team, you don't have to expect as much out of your offense. But I think Colt McCoy outplayed what I expected he was going to do and a lot of fans expected he can do. And going into Arizona, I don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be back. We really haven't had any concrete news yet. But if Colt McCoy is there, I definitely feel a little more confident after a win like this.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned a lot of things. Obviously, that defense is firing on all cylinders. You got guys like James Bradbury out there looking like a genius free agent signing. But
Blake Martinez is a tackling machine.
Yes, he is. They had a really good offseason, but I'm going to make you guys a little bit angry because I think the Washington football team is the best NFC East team.
Yeah.
I think that pass rush led by Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen, it's better than the Giants pass rush, which is one of their strengths. And I think, you got guys like Alex Smith out there, a veteran quarterback who's won much more than Colt McCoy, much more than Daniel Jones combined even. I think it would be a great story, and I think he has the experience to win the division. And although the Giants have the tiebreaker, which is a huge factor, the Washington football team has the easier schedule. They have San Francisco this week, Seattle, who we just saw is vulnerable to strong defense. And then they have Carolina, which out of all the games both teams have left is the worst team out of all of them. And I think that game could be the deciding factor between who wins the NFC East and who loses. If Washington is able to pull off, 2 or 3 of these games left, they win 2. I think 2 wins gets you the division championship if you're the Giants. 2 or 3 gets you it for Washington. So I think Washington's team is better. It all comes down to how they finish the season, obviously, because they had a shaky start. But with Alex Smith under center, they look like the team that has the best chance to win a playoff game this year. But I cannot discredit what the Giants have done and how they've rebuilt this year alone. Joe Judge looks like a great leader. Maybe not up there with my guy Brian Flores quite yet, but he comes from the same coaching tree. And, all credit to that defense. And I just have one last thing to say, and I kind of want to throw the grenade into this podcast that has 3 Jets fans, 3 Giants fans. Leonard Williams.
Oh, my God. He's another player that's left the Adam Gase team and has flourished into a star. And the Jets traded him away back for a bag of peanuts. And listen, he wasn't very good in his last years with the Jets. And, I get that. But I'm not going to put him in Aaron Donald territory yet, but he's becoming one of the better defensive linemen in football. And he was just won NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Now, I want to go back to what you were saying, Corey, about the Washington team's schedule coming up. The Seahawks, they're going to probably lose that one. But the schedule that's remaining, they have the easiest. San Francisco this week, Seattle, Carolina, and the Eagles. So, like you said, but the Giants, keep in mind, have the tiebreaker because they won the head-to-head series. So whatever the Giants do, the Washington team has to do better than that. So if the Giants win 2 games, which they can beat Arizona, and then they can beat Dallas. Then Washington now has to win 3. So I'm going to go take a shot in the dark here. The pressure is not on Washington. The pressure is on the Giants here. Because if they lose and Washington wins, yeah, the Giants could still get a tie and win the tiebreaker. But San Francisco, Carolina, and the Eagles, I mean, we're also forgetting that their biggest offensive threat, which is Terry McLaurin, and who could just change the entire game on one play. So, however, on the Giants' hand, they just beat the Seattle Seahawks. So the remaining schedule that they have, I think Baltimore is a legitimate option for them to win. Baltimore's defense is not very good. I mean, Baltimore is a problem. Baltimore's defense is a problem. And people thought last year they were going to go to the Super Bowl because they won 14-2, and look what happened. Derrick Henry ran right through their defense, and they did not make any upgrades on that defense. So the Giants can beat Baltimore. I don't think they beat Cleveland. I think that defense is just too good. But I think they have a legitimate shot to beat Arizona. And I got to tell you, Bradbury shut down DK Metcalf. He has a much better wide receiver, the best in the league, in DeAndre Hopkins to worry about this Sunday. But I think the Giants win this division at 8-8. I really do. I think it's going to take 8 wins to win the division with the schedule for Washington. Washington is right now 5-7, and they have 3 easy games that they can win and go 8, and they'll have 8 wins. So if the Giants want to win, I think it takes 8 games. I was saying 6 or 7 3 weeks ago, but they just beat the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. And now with the schedule remaining, I think it takes 8 games. Giant fans disagree?
Yeah, I want to give a lot of credit to the Washington football team because they have played a lot better football than they started out playing. They were very, very out of sync at the beginning of the season, especially when they played the Giants when Smith had to come in midway through the game. And I think their offense was so out of sync and there were so many guys they weren't getting the ball to. But like you said, Terry McLaurin is a game changer. And Antonio Gibson has stepped up to be one of the best running backs, I think, in the NFC East right now. And Washington is a problem. I really think that they like you said, they have probably the easiest schedule going forward towards the end of the season. But on the side of the Giants, we have to continue to keep getting better in the same progression that the Washington football team is getting better. We need to get the ball to our offense more. And the problem is that without Daniel Jones, that is hard to elevate any offensive game. The game plan is going to be centered around the rushing game. And when you play a defense that can defend against that, then it's impossible to do anything else. So obviously I'm going to say the Giants. I obviously favor the Giants to win the NFC East, but it's going to be very, very, very close. And it's going to depend on a lot of factors of who's on the field for the Giants, as well as if the Washington football team can continue to play the way that they've been playing. Because beating the Steelers, I don't think is a phony. Obviously the Steelers, I don't think were the best team in the AFC. Still think the Chiefs were the best.
I think they're the most overrated. I think they were the most overrated 11-0 team there.
Yeah, I don't think. I'm not going to say they're fraud or phony, but they were not nearly the best AFC team.
No.
And so beating them, there is validity to beating them, though. I think that beating them proves that you definitely are very capable and competent.
Yeah, but so is beating the Seahawks too. And listen, I know their defense is not very good. Like I know Seattle's defense is a train wreck. But like you said, and Corey said too, James Bradbury shut down probably one of the best wide receivers in the game this year. And Leonard Williams sacked Russell Wilson, which Russell Wilson did not get sacked very often. So another question for Giant fans. With Daniel Jones potentially returning on Sunday with a hamstring injury, do you think him rushing the ball, which is one of his strengths, will be limited against a team like Arizona?
I think it might be. I know I saw on some Giants account today that he was in a full practice today. This was his first one since the injury that he was back in. I think now, especially with all the talent we know that we have from our running backs and our wide receivers, I think there's a lot more trust in them. So obviously this week we're going to have to go safe with Daniel Jones and his hamstring injury. But, I mean, I guess I'd say it's hard to say. I really think we have to focus with our defense because the way that they put pressure on Wilson, I think they could do the same with Kyler Murray. And I think they could even do the same with Baker Mayfield. And, you know, they took primetime in 2 weeks. And they took the Cowboys, which is their Americans team. I don't know. I think there's a lot of attention going towards the Giants in the future.
Now, I'm not a Giant fan, but as a New York sports fan, and we all do a podcast with the club, there's 3 Giant fans in this podcast. I think it's better for us, material-wise, the Giants make the playoffs over Washington because it gives us excitement to talk about, right? We have 3 Giant fans who are actively engaging in these conversations. We have 0 Washington fan here. And shall I mention, I think NFC Coach of the Year has to go to either Ron Rivera or Joe Judge. I mean, sure, maybe Cliff Kingsbury, but these 2 guys have taken teams who were in the basement for how many years now and have resurrected them. So Ron Rivera and Joe Judge, and by the way, Ron Rivera did not miss a game under cancer treatment. So hats off to him. I mean, the guy's a warrior. He is a warrior. Also, in the NFC East, nothing will make, I mean, Giant fans, I don't have a rooting interest because I don't know about the Cowboys or the Giants, but Giant fans probably want to see this happen. Their last game of the year, Sunday Night Football, the Giants and the Cowboys. So what would make Giant fans more happier than to beat the Cowboys and win the division in front of the entire country?
Well, yeah.
I think,
go for it. Go for it, man.
No, I think what will get the Giants into the playoffs is their defense. If they can hold down, for example, with the Cardinals, if they can hold down Larry Fitzgerald and DeAndre Hopkins the same way they did against DK Metcalf, I think if they can pull through with their offense a little bit and get a couple of sixes in, execute their field goals like they did against the Seahawks, I feel like field goals help them get over the stretch. And my estimation is this: they have a 50-50 chance of getting into the playoffs because they have 4 games left. They have the Ravens, the Browns, they have the Cowboys is last, and give me a sec on this one. Their third to last game is going to be
the Browns.
The Browns. I'm sorry. They have the Cardinals, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Cowboys. I feel the Giants can win against the Cardinals and the Browns. The Ravens, I don't think they can stop Lamar Jackson's speed. The Cowboys, yeah, it's going to be a 60-40 chance with the Cowboys.
But this is where the Giants' defensive line, like Leonard Williams, can really stop Lamar Jackson. I mean, what he did to – and listen, Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson are two phenomenal talents. However, Blake Martinez could easily get to Lamar Jackson, and they could shut down the Ravens. The Ravens' only offensive threat right now is Lamar Jackson. I mean, they haven't had any offensive threat aside from him. I don't know where, last year was, but they could – that's what I said. And, Stefan, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I think they have a legitimate chance to beat the Baltimore Ravens, and I think they win 3 games out of the next 4. I do. I don't think they beat Cleveland. I think every other game besides Cleveland, they win. I think they win on Sunday against Arizona.
Cleveland, they can do it. No, Cleveland, they can definitely do it because, unfortunately for Cleveland, Beckham is out.
Yeah.
So that can be they have a good chance against Cleveland. No, but I think what I think the only person that can stop Lamar Jackson is Jabril Peppers. I've seen this guy play from high school to college. He went down at Promise Catholic, not far away from my high school, and it was like watching a Charles Woodson in high school. He could play offense, he could play defense. He's a great cornerback for the Giants, and he's a great punt returner. And the Giants could be up by 10 points. They could be down by 30 points, but he'll still be playing as if the Giants have a chance of winning a game. So I think he is the key. So he's the key that will help ignite the defense for the Giants. And if the Giants can somehow winning 4 out of 4 and then capping off their season by beating the Cowboys, that could be no better way to celebrate them making the playoffs.
I think they win. I personally think, and I know Corey was maybe disagreeing with me. I think the Giants finish 8-8. I do, and I think the winner of the division has to finish 8-8 because with the Washington football team's remaining schedule, they could easily win the next 4 games. But I think they win 3. And in the Giants' case, they have to win 3. They have the tiebreaker. And I think they could beat Baltimore. I think they beat Dallas, obviously. And I think they beat Arizona. I think the team that will give them the most problems will be Cleveland. They have 2 phenomenal running backs in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And Jarvis Landry is on another level right now. So that will be the only team I think that they will lose to. Corey, what do you think?
I think we need to take it 1 week at a time. I think we've seen that with the situation throughout the whole year because at the beginning of the year, it was the Eagles and Cowboys. Halfway through the year, it was every team's terrible. Now there's 2 teams that are actually emerging as, playoff contenders, not teams to necessarily win in the playoffs, but to make it to the playoffs and, maybe give that wild card weekend a tough matchup against whoever they end up being playing. So I think it's 1 week at a time, and I think this week is the most important week so far in the season for both Giants and Washington fans because outside of week 17 where they play the NFC East and we know Dallas and Philadelphia are not good, this is both teams' best chance at winning. I think Arizona is worse than Cleveland and Baltimore. I think the 49ers are worse than Seattle. I mentioned the Panthers earlier and being potentially, a difference maker in that schedule. But outside of that game, Washington needs to win 2. Needs to be win 1 more than the Giants. If the Giants win against the Cardinals, I think that's a huge indicator. And Washington loses against the 49ers, I think that's huge for the Giants in getting to the playoffs. They're much closer than before this week. I think we should monitor those games very closely because Washington wins and Giants lose, then then Washington's got the upper hand. If Giants win and Washington lose, it's almost a walk in the park for the Giants if they could, beat Dallas week 17. If both teams win, we're looking at a potential wild card situation at that point because 6-6 is currently in the playoffs in the NFC. So if both teams win there, go to 6-7, it's going to be a race to the finish, but then maybe a team sneaks into the playoffs with that 7th seed. So I think we need to pay very close attention to those games this weekend.
Minnesota's a wild card team, and I think they're 6-7, correct?
6-6.
6-6, yeah.
Okay, so Minnesota, I don't think is a very good football team. And if they lose, And if both teams win, all of a sudden you don't have to win the division. But and with no fans, winning the division might not be as an advantage because you're not going to have, the roar of the crowd. So, but here's my last thing on the Giants, and then everybody else could talk about the Giants. If if Washington lost to the Steelers on Tuesday night, I don't think the Giants make Daniel Jones play on Sunday. But because they won, the importance of that game now skyrockets. And I think the Giants would like to give Jones another because hamstring injuries always reoccur. Just ask Yankee fans or Carlos Stan. Every single week, hamstring injury. It never goes away. So I think the Giants want to give him as much time as they can. And I think Washington winning certainly made him play. And I think my opinion is he plays. And if Washington loses and the Giants win, he does not play the following week. I don't think – and against Cleveland, against Myles Garrett, I don't think they try it against Cleveland. That's just my take.
Will, I just wanted to make one more point about this potential NFC wildcard situation. There's two teams sitting at 6-6 right now in the NFC. One team's on the outside looking in. One team's in the 7th seed. Outside of that, there's the Lions, Bears, Washington, and the Giants are at 5-7, one game back from the playoffs. Guess who the Minnesota Vikings play this weekend? They play the 6th seed, the Buccaneers. No matter what happens in that game, things are going to get closer and closer. If the Giants beat the Cardinals, who are the other 6-6 team, they're tied. If Washington wins, they're tied. That's why I'm saying if they both win these games, there's a potential NFC wildcard situation coming out of the NFC East, which is what nobody expected coming into 2 weeks ago. So these games, if you're any fan of an NFC team or specifically the Giants fans we have here on the podcast, you need to watch them really, really closely. I just wanted to emphasize that one more time.
Giants fans, let's end it with you.
Let me make this real quick for the AFC, and then I'll get back to the Giants related stuff. Chiefs and Steelers are going to see each other in the AFC Championship. I guarantee you right there. And my summation is that I give the Chiefs.
I'm going to go with Tennessee
by 7 points.
I'm going to say Tennessee beats Pittsburgh, and it's going to be Tennessee, Kansas City. But I like that because as much as I like T.J. Watt and as much as I like the Steelers' defense, losing Bud Dupree really hurts them. And that game changer for a running back like Derrick Henry. But I can see that. And I think, and listen, I think the Steelers are a great team, but you guys are going to get really mad when I say this. I think they're the third best AFC team in the playoffs right now. I think it's the Chiefs, the Titans, and the Steelers.
I also, as a Dolphins fan, I can say this, I wouldn't overlook the Bills. That their defense seems to be coming around, and Josh Allen is figuring out his arm talent and really – the offense has built around him really well, and he's really making that offense a strong
best quarterback of that draft class. And it was
possibly
not. Lamar Jackson is.
I think Lamar for now, but Lamar's had his struggles this season, could come around. But I'll go back to the NFC East situation because I'm sure there's Giants fans ready to, hype up their team for this week and the rest of the season. So you guys take it away.
Yeah, like Giant fans, what are your predictions for this week? I'm saying, and I'm a Jet fan, I want the Giants to do well. I've never said that before. But, again, we all do a podcast where we're mostly New York heavy, aside from Corey, who's a mix of everything. He's Boston and Miami. I don't know how that came about. But I want to have a New York team go into the playoffs because it just makes this so much more this is entertaining for me, having all these discussions at the Giants and Washington. So, Giant fans, what are your predictions for Sunday?
It's going to be a close game without a doubt because here's why. The Giants it's been a while, I think, since the Giants have been in a playoff position. First off, the word playoff, I never heard the word playoffs in 8 years since they won the Super Bowl back in 2012, right? And it's a first for every single player on that team. It's a first for Peppers, Daniel Jones, Ingram, Shepard that they're going to be playing for a potential playoff position. So my estimation is this: it's going to be a great game for the wide receivers on both ends, and I think I'm going to give the Giants by 3 points on this one because they're even. I feel like they're evenly matched wide receiver wise.
All right. I had a couple things if I can remember all of them. So a lot of points were made in like the last 10 minutes. First, I'll talk about the AFC for a couple seconds. Will, I like your pick on Titans over Steelers in the AFC. I think the Titans are kind of team that kind of turn up in the playoffs. Like, Derrick Henry is the kind of guy that he elevates his game once it gets cold out, December, January. Like that is when he elevates his game to another level. And the same way that the Titans ran through the Patriots and the Ravens last year, I really think that we're going to end up seeing them in a championship game again. And now to the NFC, for Arizona, Giants, Arizona, yeah, it's gonna be a close game. Every single Giants game this year has been close. Every single game, no matter what the score is at the half, it ends up being close. Just so much anxiety in these games. It's gonna be close. It's probably gonna be within 10 or 3 or 7. It's gonna be like 20-13. That's probably what the score is gonna be, and I think I got the Giants winning.
I want the Giants to go with the same amount of confidence that they had last week, especially the energy that they had after winning that game. I want them to have match that energy with this week going in. I think that they have the same potential that the Cardinals do winning, so it's going to be a close game, but I just want to make sure everyone stays healthy, they make smart calls, and I'm excited to watch it.
I'm actually
Go for it, Jay. Go for it, Jay.
I'm a little bit interested in the NFC East because, like, going back to what Corey said, the division is so unpredictable. At the start, they're going to write Dallas and Philly are decent. They'll probably play out for first, and the Giants and the football team will, they'll get a little better, but probably aren't there yet. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, look, as bad as it was, we were like, all right, maybe it's Washington. Then the Eagles won a couple games. Like, oh, maybe the Eagles only won six games, but they'll probably win the division. Then Carson Wentz just completely fell apart, and they're like, all right, maybe now the Dallas Cowboys started playing a little bit better. Like maybe it's them, and now all of a sudden, now it's either going to be the Giants or the Washington football team, who we thought didn't even have a shot at the beginning of the year. Like this division is so unpredictable that you never know what could happen. And I honestly do think the Washington football team is going to win the division because I think they have the best defense in the NFC East. I think it's a top 10 unit. Their pass rush is dominant, and their secondary is actually very, very good as well. They got Kendall Fuller, who's a very good player. They also have Landon Collins, who you Giants fans know. It's one of the guys that Dave Gettleman let walk for absolutely nothing. As you can tell, I don't like Dave Gettleman. I think he's a jackass. I think he's gone after the season. Anyway, that's a story for another day. And also, Alex Smith, the dude's a good quarterback. And I think it's funny that Daniel Jones has possibly might miss 2 weeks with a hamstring strain, when Alex Smith can possibly lead his team to the playoffs basically on one leg. I mean, the dude had 17 surgeries, and less than 2 years later, he's a starting quarterback, which is absolutely incredible. And honestly, Arizona, Kyler Murray, the dude has a cannon, and DeAndre Hopkins is – DK Metcalf's great, and that's fantastic. James Bradbury held him. But DeAndre Hopkins is on another planet. The man is a monster. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Bradbury. So I'm actually picking Arizona to win this game. And Cleveland's playing really good. I think they clicked. They got a great running game. Baker's finally figuring out, but defense is playing better. And then, although I do think that they'll beat the Cowboys are a terrible team, and I forget who else they play, but I think Washington wins 3 out of 4, goes 8-8, and I think the Giants finish 7-9. That's why I'm taking the Washington football team to win the division.
Corey, can you just break down what happened between the Bengals and the Dolphins on Sunday?
Of course. It was fun to watch, I'll tell you that much. I loved watching it. I loved watching the team come around. But basically, Mike Thomas, Bengals wide receiver, but he's more so used as a gunner in the special teams game in the punting unit for the Bengals. One play, completely rocks Jakeem Grant, who's the Dolphins punt returner, before he even catches, or as he catches the ball. Something you're trained not to do as a gunner in the NFL and in college football and probably in high school too. He completely rocks him shoulder to helmet. Jakeem Grant popped up by a miracle. Next punt, he spear tackles Jakeem Grant as the ball's in the air. He wasn't even close to timing it right. Completely unnecessary. Ball didn't even touch him. So that's the second time this game. And the team was just going to, for the most part, walk off the field. But Mac Hollins, who's a special teamer for the Dolphins, kind of blindside blocked somebody after that play or during that play. And Brian Flores wasn't about that. He's a passionate coach, loves his players, is going to defend them as long as he needs to. Ran on the field, yelling at the Bengals coaches, I can only assume, to, have some accountability. Your player has done this twice this game. Jakeem Grant's laying on the ground because he just got the wind knocked out of him. It's the second time he could have been injured in a league that's supposed to be minimizing injuries. So Brian Flores is yelling at him. Only know what he said because he was smart enough to cover his mouth with his mask as he went out there. And, the teams got met in the middle of the field, mostly Dolphins because they were probably out there to check on Jakeem, and then things got heated. You're going to defend your coach when he's out on the field. Number 36 for the Bengals, Sean Williams, throws a punch at Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker throws one back. Think it accidentally hit a coach. Devontae Parker gets ejected. Sean Williams gets ejected. Mac Hollins, who I mentioned earlier with the blindside hit, gets ejected. But the crowd's going crazy. Shaq Lawson, Jakeem Grant are both hyping up the crowd after Jakeem got up. Mike Thomas walks free. For what reason? And Brian Flores, because of the penalties, made them re-punt the ball, which I thought was genius. I thought they were going to attack Mike Thomas, send two guys out there and just give him hell, honestly, and they didn't. So I was a little disappointed in that. Obviously things got heated, but Brian Flores is a great leader. That's my coach, to go out there and, hold guys accountable, protect your team. I love seeing that. I love the guys, it wasn't like Devontae Parker threw the first punch, but you defend your teammates, you defend yourself, and that's what ended up happening. But the Bengals, I believe, are a dirty team. Sean Williams, the one who threw the punch at Devontae Parker, also stepped on Solomon Kinley's ankle earlier in the game, on purpose, even though it was made to look casual. It was completely on purpose. He's been suspended a game for that, not for the punch. Earlier in the game, Tyler Boyd wasn't happy, got in at Xavier Howard's face. Xavier Howard pushed him in the face. Wasn't a punch, but got ejected for that. Tyler Boyd got ejected. Gene Sarator is on to say that was ridiculous ejection. But, the Bengals are a dirty team. They have the ghost of Vontaze Burfict there, coaching them along. That's about it. I don't care. The Dolphins handled business against one of the worst teams in the league.
They may win the AFC East, by the way. They're a game behind.
I love that, but the Bills are a dangerous team, too. I can't count them out.
That's very true.
That's
that was
for that game.
we spoke about a lot. We're running low on time. 55 minutes so far this podcast has gone. That was a lot of information, but it was only football, but there's only football going on right now. And in 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have the NBA. And my Brooklyn Nets. My Brooklyn Nets are somehow having drama already on the court with KD and Kyrie. I mean, if I were to tell you that this is going to be a problem from the start, I mean, now just add James Harden to that mix. I saw this funny meme today. He has to test positive. He has to test negative for COVID 6 consecutive times. Somebody told him, and they said, if he has to go 0 for 6, just tell him it's a game 7.
Count any playoff game.
All right, I gotta talk. About James Harden. This is what I've been waiting for. I got to rant about this guy. And as a Rocket fan, this is all I gotta say. James Harden is acting like a child, and let me tell you why. So I read something that that he wants to trade because he didn't get the coach he wanted. Tillman Fertitta wanted Jeff Van Gundy. Harden wanted Ty Lue. They compromised. The compromise was Stephen Silas. But I can understand then being upset because as the franchise player, as the 2018 MVP, and kind of the carry to the Rockets, you want to say in who's coaching you. But in return, you basically got a complete overhaul of your starting lineup. I mean, you played with Christian Wood, and you got him. You got your own friend with Russell Westbrook traded to the Wizards for John Wall, and you got Boogie Cousins. And if Boogie and John Wall are healthy, they are actually a Western Conference final contender right there. And on top of that, just another side note, you're also opening up a restaurant in Houston. So please explain to me why on earth you still want to trade. And as for the Nets, I get it. The man wants to go to the Nets, but he also needs to understand something. He's not going to be playing with both KD and Kyrie. So I suggest he grows up and starts playing with the Rockets.
You know, Joe,
I'm going to say one last thing to show. One last thing. Actually, who was about to say something?
I was gonna say
All right, so both of you guys go.
Jake, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, James Harden obviously is a top 5 player in the league. He needs to realize the Rockets are not going to move him. They can't get a star player back. So if he goes to Brooklyn, I think Kyrie Irving has to go the other way. So he's not going to he's not going to be able to have this dream top 3 of him, KD, and Kyrie. That's not possible. If he goes to the Sixers, they're going to have to give up Ben Simmons. If he goes to the Heat, they're going to have to give up Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo, maybe if not both. If he goes to the Milwaukee Bucks, they'll have to give up probably like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton and other pieces. So wherever he goes, I mean, James Harden obviously is going to make a team better, but it's not like he's going to go there and he's going to join like 3 or 4 other All-Stars because at least 1 or 2 are going the other way. So, by the way, I don't agree with the John Wall trade. You got to remember, John Wall hasn't played in like a year and a half, and Russell Westbrook obviously has no issues with health, and the guy is a great player. So I would have kept Russell Westbrook and built around those two, but James Harden decided he didn't want to play with him anymore. So he called up his buddy John Wall. He said, "How you feeling?" He said, "I'm feeling good." He's like, "All right, let's get this done." So he gets what he wants, and now all of a sudden he wants out. So that makes no sense. So I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with Justin. He's acting like a child.
Yeah, because you're right. I don't agree with it either. I thought Russell Westbrook is better. However, Russell Westbrook clearly is still used to being the franchise player of OKC and having people play around him. But anyway, so yes, I do disagree with the Russell Westbrook trade. But once again, James Harden also asked for that. So why are you leaving?
Let me end the show in just a few seconds here because we are running over schedule. We're at 61 minutes, which is very good for us. There was a lot of things we had to cover. But I'm sure Justin could agree with me. The New York Jets are going to be a complete and utter embarrassment for the remainder of the season. Do I want to see the Jets do something when they force a turnover? Absolutely. Do I want to see Sam Darnold flourish to Denzel Mims? Absolutely. Do I want to see all of this happen for the Jets and be a successful football team? Absolutely. But right now, the best thing the Jets can do is to lose every game. Because if the Jets win any type of game, it might solidify Adam Gase's job here for next year. It might just do that. It might just do that. And I know it's unlikely, but I cannot have another season like this. I can't have a season like last year. They got worse from last year. They were 7-9 a year ago. They're going to go winless this year. How does that happen? How does that happen? How? With the teams they played last year, with the teams they're playing this year, they should have beaten the teams they play. I mean, and listen, I know you're a Dolphin fan, Corey. The Dolphins were 0-7. They lost to an 0-7 Dolphins team last year and an 0-11 Bengal team. They win those two games, they're 9-7 and in the playoffs. And we would not be sitting here having this discussion right now. The Jets are what the Dolphins were last year at the middle of the season, where they have a competent head coach and a competent team that can turn that thing around. Look at the Dolphins. They gutted their entire lineup a year ago, and they're 8-4 right now. Half their team from last year is gone. And they're 8-4 right now. The Jets got to do the same thing, and it starts with getting rid of that case. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. I talked to so many different football fans and from so many different Jet fans. This has to end. This has to end. The Adam Gase era and listen, I wish Sam Darnold well, but this can't go on. I mean, he can't do this. He can't. He's making the same as I'm watching the game, and I'm like, no, Sam, what are you doing? He's when he throws across his body, I'm like, what? Why? Well, just throw it away. Just throw it away. And I don't know what Adam Gase's factuation is with Frank Gore, but the 36-year-old journeyman has to stop carrying the football. It's giving them 1.5 yards when the Michael Pirine is running for 6, and you don't see it up the next drive. It's all Frank Gore week after week after week, and I can't watch it. There's sometimes I'm watching it with my dad, and I'm turning it off. Last week I was blessed not to watch that game, watching the way that they lost. And listen, is it nice to win a game? Absolutely. But the best thing for this franchise is to lose every single game. This isn't Baker Mayfield in the draft coming up. This isn't Baker Mayfield. This is not Jared Goff. This isn't, as what the Eagles thought, Carson Wentz. This is what everybody glorifies it out to be, the next Tom Brady and the next Joe Montana. Now listen, I know every team had a shot to do this, but the Jets could have had, listen to this list, they could have had Brett Favre, not 40-year-old Brett Favre. They could have had Joe Montana. They could have had Peyton Manning, who said, listen, I'm not playing for you. And every team could have had Tom Brady. But it just makes it more hysterical that the pitiful football team in MetLife Stadium that is called the New York Jets had a quarterback tandem of Bryce Petty, Christian Hackenberg, Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez, who fumbled into an ass, and now Sam Darnold, Tim Tebow. I mean, the list goes on. Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, this is not even. We're not even halfway through the list. I mean, I'm not gonna go on. I'm not gonna continue to talk. Somebody else can talk about this, but listen, the best thing for this team is to lose every game. That's just where I'm coming from.
You're totally right. We haven't had a quarterback since Joe Namath. I mean, you went through the list. I mean, like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow doesn't even play football anymore. He plays baseball. I don't know which one he's worse at. He's like the best athlete and the worst athlete ever at the same time. It's incredible he's able to play football and baseball, but he sucks at both of them. And you know, Mark Sanchez was awful. Geno Smith was awful. Sam Darnold, not all of his fault, but he hasn't been very good. You know, Bryce Petty didn't work. Christian Hackenberg is so bad. Second round pick wasn't even allowed to be dressed.
And I don't know what Joe Douglas was doing, but you do not. And listen, he drafted James Morgan, a quarterback, in the 4th round. You don't do that for shits and giggles. You don't do that. I mean, like, he hasn't even put on a uniform. I don't know what number he is, to be honest with you. I know every Jets number off the top of my head. I have no idea what this number is. The Jets' best shot of winning is starting Joe Flacco. I mean, Darnold gives them nothing. He gives them literally nothing. And Frank Gore gives them nothing. And Rashad Perryman gives them nothing. Just gut the whole team. Be the Miami Dolphins, for Christ's sakes.
No, they just don't want better. That's all. it's like the New York Mets, and no offense to Mets fans, but they just don't want better. That's the thing. You don't have a starter that can come up and perform. So you're forced to like draft a fresh quarterback or a fresh lineman, offensive lineman, defensive cornerback, whatever the case may be. But you have to like you have to utilize your draft picks and make a risk trade to get a veteran that's in his prime from a productive team.
And the Jets need everything. They need everything. And it starts with the quarterback. I mean, it just starts there. They need a wide receiver. They need a tight end. They need. I mean, oh my God.
No, but you will get a quarterback. You're going to get Trevor Lawrence next season. There's no doubt about it.
What could Trevor Lawrence like? Yes, I totally fine with that. I'd give away my arm for Trevor Lawrence. I really would.
But what can he do is he can run the ball and he can definitely work with the linemen.
Yeah, but who's he gonna like? He's not gonna throw the ball to himself. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, if he could do that, that'd be great. But he has. We need a wide receiver. And listen, I want Jamar Chase, but we need Trevor Lawrence before any of those needs. So, all right. 68 minutes. It's gonna take a while to upload, so we'll probably send the link out tomorrow or late tonight. I'll be up. Well. On behalf of the Sports Media Club here at Sacred Heart, thanks for listening. And if you made it till the very end, I'm sorry for my little 3-minute rant there. But listen, it has to be done. It just has to be done. And the Jet fans are tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it. And like I said, I wear this around with pride every day because I want this team to fail this season. Oh, I can't wait. All right, guys, let's end the show here. Will Pesic, Justin Alter, Jake Cardinal, Molly Jacob, Corey Picard, Stefan Ayanyan, Robbie Finizio. I hope everybody's names was right. I went throughout the entire order of I saw on my Zoom screen. So, until next week.
See you later, guys.
Yep. One of you guys might have to stop recording.
Okay.